Doors closed. Lights dim. Whispers circle. Names. Faces hidden. Intentions sharp. A table. Waits. Silence heavy. Breathing slow. Eyes watching. Carefully. A truth. Stirs. Older. Than time. Papers spread. Symbols marked. Bloodlines traced. Secrets breathing. Your name. Spoken. Softly. Carefully. As if. Walls. Might listen. Might remember. You sit. Still. Unaware. Yet. That history. Leans. Toward. You. Hand shake. Slightly. Not fear. Recognition. Because something. Inside. You wakes. Slowly. Memories. Not lived. Echo. Loud. Ancestral voices. Calling. Through veins. Through bones. They reveal. Fragments. Of crowns. Lost. Of power. Hidden. Of legacies. Buried. You were. Never. Ordinary. Never random. You were. Placed. Protected. Delayed. Until this. Moment. Until this. Room. Until this. Silence. The meeting. Ends. But something. Begins. Inside. You. The truth. Waits. Ready. To surface. Ready. To change. Everything. The room. Empties. Chairs cold. Echoing. But silence. Stays. Heavy. Watchful. You walk. Out. Yet something. Follows. Not footsteps. But truth. Your reflection. Changes. Eyes deeper. Older. As if. Centuries. Look back. Through you. Files locked. Away. But blood. Remembers. What paper. Hides. Your pulse. Sinks. With drums. Ancient. Beats past. Down. Through wars. Through fires. Through betrayals. Through crowns. You feel. Weight. Not fear. Responsibility. Because power. Is never. Gifted. Freely. It is. Guarded. Hidden. Tested. Waiting. For worth. And you. Past. Without knowing. When. Your childhood. Was shielding. Your ordinary. Days. Were camouflage. Mercy. Because enemies. Sleep. But bloodlines. Don't. They wait. Patient. For the. Right. Carrier. Moment. You notice. Now. How doors. Open. Without asking. Why? How voices. Lower. When you. Speak. How eyes. Follow. Without reason. Without permission. You haven't. Changed. The world. Has. It finally. Recognizes. What it. Missed. For generations. For lifetimes. You are. Not becoming. You are. Remembering. Who you. Were. Before forgetting. Was survival. Before hiding. Was safety. Before silence. Was protection. The meeting. Was proof. But the. Truth. Lives. Inside. And it. Has. Only. Begun. Night deepens. Streets quiet. But eyes. Watch. From corners. From shadows. Your steps. Measured. Your senses. Awake. Because once. Revealed. Truth attracts. Attention, not admiration. Always. Some protect. Silently. Some hunt. Patiently. You feel. It. A shift. Around. Air thicker. Time slower. Your name. Travels. Through rooms. Unknown. Through mouths. Careful. Spoken. Coded. Not everyone. Celebrates. Your blood. Your legacy. Some remember. Loss. Crowns taken. Thrones burned. Empires fallen. Because of names. Like yours. History doesn't forgive. It waits. Returns. And you carry what was unfinished. Your dreams change. Symbols appear. Repeated. Lions. Rings. Ancient marks. Familiar. As if taught. Before memory. Before language. Your sleep is restless. Visions arrive. Uninvited. Fires rising. Banners falling. Oaths sworn. In blood. Faces kneeling. Faces betraying. You wake. Breathless. Heart racing. Not afraid. But aware. Alert. Because this isn't fantasy. It's inheritance. Awakening. Guards move. Closer. Warnings whispered. Late. Trust narrows. Quickly. You learn. Fast. Silence matters. Timing matters. Names spoken. Once. Never repeated. Twice. Because power listens. And power remembers. You are not chased. Yet. But the circle tightens. Slowly. Deliberately. Because they must be sure. First. Sure. You know who you are. And when you do, everything changes. Morning arrives. Uneasily. Messages waiting. Coded. Phone silent. Yet heavy. Warnings delivered. Without names. You listen. Carefully. Between words. Between pauses. Because truth. Now. Moves indirectly. Safely. A meeting. Requested. Not demanded. Invited. Location neutral. Time hidden. You arrive. Early. Observe. Everything. Entrances counted. Exits memorized. Faces scanned. Intent weighed. Some smile. Politely. Some avoid. Eyes. Old alliances. Testing. New loyalties. Forming. A man. Steps. Forward. Slow. His voice. Steady. His words. Measured. He knows. Things. No stranger. Should. Birthmarks. Dates. Family fractures. Sealed. History folded. Inside. His gaze. Lowers. Not submission. Recognition. He confirms. Nothing. Yet reveals. Everything. The bloodline. Alive. The air. Present. The silence. After. Is loud. Dangerous. Because truth. Once. Acknowledged. Cannot return. You feel. It. The room. Recalibrates. Power shifts. Subtly. Chairs turn. Toward. You. Naturally. Not commanded. Accepted. Some fear. Shows. Some relief. Appears. Because legends. Return. Either. To rule. Or. To burn. You speak. Little. But meaning. lands. You don't claim. You don't announce. You simply exist, and existence is proof. The meeting ends. Alliances reshaped. Quietly. Threats postponed. Temporarily. But walking away. You know? Now. This was warning. Not welcome. Not celebration. The game has finally begun. Night returns. Quiet. Decisions. Heavy. Because power tests before trusting fully. You are watched. Not openly. Not loudly. But constantly. Patiently. A request arrives. Disguised as favor. Help needed. Urgently. Names involved. Dangerous. You hesitate. Briefly. Not from fear, but from clarity. Because tests often arrive wrapped in need. You accept calmly. Conditions set. Silently. Boundaries drawn. Early. The task simple. On surface only. Retrieve documents. Lost. Protect someone. Unseen. Travel alone. Unannounced. No witnesses. No records. You move. Carefully. Every step. Measured. Every word. Saved. Because mistakes now cost lives. Not pride. You sense. Trap. And opportunity. Together. Because enemies design tests to fail, while allies design tests to reveal. You trust instinct, older than thought, something inherited, not taught, not trained. The mission tightens, roads close, unexpectedly, contacts vanish, suddenly, pressure rises, slow. But you remain centered, focused, because panic is luxury, and heirs cannot afford luxury ever. You finish clean, no noise, no trace. The documents safe, the person protected, the truth intact. You return unchanged, but those watching are no longer uncertain, because you passed without force, without pride, with judgment, with restraint, and restraint is power. They understand now this bloodline learned from loss, from fire. The test ends, but respect begins. Quiet, permanent, and somewhere far, someone realizes you are not just a descendant. You are a problem for everyone who hoped you would fail. Signals change, patterns shift, respect grows, fear follows, because power noticed is power targeted. You feel it, a pressure forming, not chaos yet, but intention, focused, names surface quietly. Old rivals awaken from comfortable shadows. They remember losses written in blood, caused by a name like yours. Meetings happen without you. Plans drawn against possibilities. You, because legends return only to end. Someone else's rule, you trace threads carefully, slow. Each lead points to one figure, never loud, never visible, always present, always protected. A man, or maybe a system built to erase errors. Early, you learn his methods, patience, misdirection, using loyalty as leash, using fear as silence. He doesn't kill, he delays, destroys reputations, trust, alliances from inside. So when he strikes, no one defends. You understand now why secrecy mattered, why childhood was quiet, why protection was invisible. Because this enemy kills futures before they arrive fully. A message reaches you directly, not threat, not warning, but invitation to talk. Neutral ground, claimed, safe terms, promised. You smile slightly, because predators always invite prey politely before deciding how to eat them. You don't refuse. You don't rush. You prepare silently, because this meeting will decide nothing but reveal everything. And once revealed, there is no going back. The board is set, the pieces moving, and you are no longer unknown. You are expected, and expectation is where enemies fail, because they prepare for what they think you are, not for what you have become. The meeting begins, neutral ground claimed, but neutrality lies, thick walls, listening, guards waiting, outside, inside, only truth and history breathing. He arrives late, always calm, confidence, practiced, smile, controlled, eyes old, calculating. He studies you, not curiosity, confirmation, because legends leave marks recognizable, even centuries apart. Still, he speaks first, not loudly, not softly, precisely, economically, testing reactions. You listen, still, letting silence work, because silence unsettles men like him most. He mentions names you never heard, yet somehow know, because blood recognizes what memory forgot. He offers deals framed as peace, protection as partnership, survival as loyalty. You smile politely, because traps often wear gifts. You respond slow, measured, intentional. No threats, no promises, only clarity, only truth. His eyes narrow, not anger, interest, because resistance without fear is rare, dangerous. He leans forward, voice lower, edges sharper, mentions consequences. Softly, mentions history. Carefully, you remain still, because fear feeds men like him. Fully, you speak. Finally, few words. Heavy. You don't challenge. You don't submit. You state fact, blood, survived, legacy, returned, time, expired. The room changes, air tightens, balance shifts. He realizes, now, this isn't a boy. This isn't a rumor. This is continuation of something unfinished. He stands, slow, mask intact, but cracking, because predators recognize when prey has teeth. The meeting ends. No agreement, no war. Yet, but, lines drawn, clearly, outside, guards, notice, nothing, inside, everything, changed, forever. You walk, away, not victorious, not relieved, but certain, focused, because now, you know, the enemy has seen you clearly, and once seen, there is no returning to shadows, only forward into destiny. After meetings, silence feels different, not empty, charged, like air. Before storms, you return home, but home feels temporary now, because destiny doesn't settle comfortably. Plans begin quietly, no announcements, no speeches, only movement, precision, calls made, secure, old contacts, reactivate, debts remembered, favors owed, loyalties tested. Again, you train, daily, not body, only, mind sharpened, instinct trusted, history studied, carefully, not to glorify, but to avoid mistakes repeated. Before you learn why they fell, how they trusted wrong, where mercy cost crowns and lives, you correct silently what ancestors couldn't, because timing matters, and now is your time. You don't build an army, yet you build certainty inside yourself, because wars are won there, before fields, before blood. Your circle shrinks, but strength condenses. Fewer voices, clearer direction. You move unnoticed, while enemies argue about possibilities, about timing. They underestimate. Still, thinking legacy means nostalgia. They forget something. Bloodlines evolve, adapt, learn. You prepare accordingly. Strategies layered, fallbacks ready, nothing rushed, nothing forced. Because haste kills heirs. Quickly, you wait, patient, because patience terrifies those who planned your failure early. They sense movement, but cannot trace your calm. Confuses Your silence misleads because storms don't announce arrival. They gather quietly. They arrive suddenly. And when they do, history resets. Names remembered. Again. Crowns questioned. Again. And you stand ready, composed, not seeking war, but fully prepared for it, because destiny doesn't ask permission, it only asks, are you ready? And now you are. The night listens. Cities breathe slow while signals cross borders unseen, undetected. Your name moves through channels hidden through mouths, careful, spoken once, remembered forever. The enemy waits, confident, still, because arrogance blinds even kings. They believe time is on their side. They forget something. Time chose you already. Moves a line. Quiet. Pieces placed. Perfect. Pressure builds. Everywhere. Markets shake. Alliances tremble. Old friends reappear. New enemies expose. Masks fall. Publicly. Lies collapse. Suddenly. Systems strain. Crack. You don't celebrate. You observe. Calculate. Because collapse creates opportunity and chaos. You guide one. Avoid the other. Your restraint surprises those expecting fire. Your patience unsettles those planning. Rush. They expected rage. They prepared war. They didn't expect clarity, strategy, because heirs who survive learn. This emotion reveals discipline wins. The enemy moves. Finally, too soon. Launching plans exposed. Trusting allies already turned. The trap closes, not loudly, not violently, but completely, decisively. You speak once. Words simple, final, not threats, not boasts, only truth. Delivered. You remind them. History doesn't repeat. It corrects. And correction has arrived. Now they realize. Late. This wasn't revenge. This was restoration, not conquest. Balance, not domination. Order. You watch. Calm. As resistance fades. As power returns to its rightful place. Quietly. No crowds. No cheers. Only stability. Restored. And those watching finally understand something. The most dangerous leaders don't announce themselves. They arrive prepared, and when they act, the world changes without noise, because real power doesn't shout. It decides. And now everything waits for the final choice. Dawn rises. Quiet. No trumpets. No flags. Just light. Returning. to places forgotten. You stand alone, not isolated, chosen, because leadership is often solitary. The world waits, not nervously, patiently, as systems reset, as fear loosens, as balance returns. You don't celebrate, you acknowledge responsibility, because crowns are heavy. Always, you choose service over ego, over revenge. You correct wrongs without humiliation, without cruelty. You rebuild slow foundations. First, trust restored, carefully, truth enforced, quietly. Your name travels not as legend, but as standard. People breathe easier, markets stabilize, nations align, because chaos lost its sponsor. Today, the enemy fades, not destroyed, irrelevant, because power without fear cannot survive long. You remain calm, unmoved, untempted, because history watches closely. Now, you honor ancestors, not with statues, but with completion. What they started, what they protected, what they lost, you finish it without spectacle, without blood, because true victory looks like peace, and peace is the hardest. Rule the world finally sees who you are, not rumor, not myth, but truth, standing alive, aware, the descendant revealed, the legacy restored, the future secured. You walk forward, not followed by fear, but by trust, not driven by past, but guided by wisdom. And somewhere, someone whispers softly, so this is what happens when the right one finally arrives at the right time. If you felt the power of destiny and truth, comment legacy and let history know you were here.